Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. Mm, I never know how to start these videos. Anyway, in today's video, I'm going to be doing a bookshelf tour. As you can tell by the title, someone's doing construction outside of my apartment. So hopefully you can hear me. So the bookshelf behind me, I've had for a long time. It was out in my living room and then I hated it. So I moved it in my bedroom just to hide it. Um, and then this morning when I woke up, I was like, why don't I put it back in my living room to hold all my books because they were kind of like overflowing, like the little storage I had for them already. And in my bedroom, like this shelf was just holding a bunch of junk, like I don't know where to put in my house and stuff I need to organize and stuff. Besides the point, I spent all day organizing it, and now I want to do a little tour, bookshelf tour. So let me bring you guys a little closer and I'll walk you through my bookshelf. So my little microphone keeps dying, so I'm not gonna use that anymore. I have talked about the first shelf. This is like the fourth time. So, Emily Henry books. I have Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, and Book Lovers. I'm waiting until Happy Place gets published in paperback so it can match the rest. I think like a lot of people got the paperback from Book Depository before they closed, but I think it is like a taller book and that gives me the ick, so I don't want that. I want them all to match, and like that's also why I'm not gonna get the UK version of it as well, even though that cover is really cute. Next I have the Inheritance Game trilogy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I've only read the first two books and those are both 5-star reads for me. I still need to read the final Gambit, but I haven't yet because The Brothers Hawthorne is coming out later this year and it's in the same world as this book. It's like has to do with a new storyline, but still all the same characters, I'm pretty sure. Absolutely loved this. I'm trying to get my brother to read this series. I have not succeeded yet in convincing him, but I will keep forcing it upon him. Next, I have Lauren Asher's Dreamland Billionaire series. This is a 5-star series for me. I've read the first two books twice because I reread them when the final offer was coming out. Loved them just as much the second time. I will probably reread the series again sometime in the future because I loved it so much. I really like Lauren Asher's writing, and I read her Dirty Air series. It's about Formula One racers. I read those books a couple months ago. Loved those books as well. Loved that whole world and the friendship group and everything. So I want to get the physical copies of those books eventually. Moving on, my little decoration. I got this little mini stool that I have my plant on from Amazon, and then I have a little mini Trader Joe's plant. Behind me here, finishing off the top shelf, I have all my Christina Lauren books. Christina Lauren author duo is like one of my faves. Ew, I hate that I actually said that. Christina Lauren is one of my favorite author/author duos. Absolutely love her books. Everyone knows Love and Other Words. I also have Twice in a Blue Moon, which is like, I think could rival Love and Other Words. I love that book so much and I think it's very, very underrated. I also have The Soulmate Equation up here. I'm really excited for the True Love Experiment, so I'll probably get the paperback to go up there as well. And then I have Something Wilder, which I really enjoyed. I listened to the audiobook of that. Highly recommend. I thought the narrators like were very, very good. And then I have The Honey Don't List, which was good, and then my favorite Half Night Stand, which I just read like a week ago, and I really enjoyed that book a lot. And then going down to the second shelf, I have more books that I have like more than one per author. That makes sense, right? Hopefully, because I can't think of words right now. I also kind of did a little bit of a pattern. A lot of the books that I have, it's like a pink, a blue, a pink, a blue, a pink, a blue, a pink, an orange. Let's get into it. For a little decoration on this side, I have some crystals. I'm like not super into crystals. I just think they look pretty, so I have them. Is this amethyst? I don't know. And then I have a Polaroid of me and my best friend who doesn't live in the same state as me anymore. Starting off over here in the corner, I have Tessa Bailey. I really enjoy Tessa Bailey's books. I do have more of hers, but my friend who I actually have the photo of here, she has about 12 of my books right now, up with her in Washington. She has It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker for my Tessa Bailey books. And then here I have Too Hot to Handle and My Killer Vacation. Then I have Colleen Hoover books. I have Maybe Now, Maybe Not, and Maybe Someday. Then I have Losing Hope and Hopeless, which I have not read yet, but I'm really excited to read these. I've heard they're very good. Hopeless is the original one from the girl's perspective, and then Losing Hope is from the guy's perspective. And I've heard, even though it's pretty much the same story, both are very good. Next, I have Ugly Love, which is one of my favorite books. This book is a little controversial. I guess like a little bit of a step sibling situation for a sec, but I think it's kind of interesting that I like this book so much because that whole plot line is one of the main reasons I hate the movie Clueless, because it kind of like it weirds me out. But in this, I kind of just looked past it, and I really liked Miles and Tate's story in this. Then I have It Starts With Us and It Ends With Us. I've only read It Ends With Us. I have not read It Starts With Us yet because I just kind of wasn't that interested in it, honestly. I've heard people say it's just like an extended epilogue for Atlas and Lily, and I just like haven't been in the mood for it. I also own Heartbones and Confess by Colleen Hoover, but I'm loaning those out to my friend. Wasn't too big of a fan of Heartbones, but Confess, oh my gosh, that book was so good. So good. Next, I have Abby Jimenez, who is a new favorite author for me. I read Part of Your World by her last year, and I do have the Book of the Month hardcover copy, but I have all my hardcovers down at the bottom shelf, so we'll get to that later. Part of Your World was the first book I read by her. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommend for everyone. And then when Yours Truly came out last month or a couple months ago, picked that up, read that. So good too. And then I was like, I have to read her original books that she wrote because she only has 5 published books out now. So I just read The Friend Zone last week, and oh my gosh, so good. And then I just got the Happy Ever After playlist. So if you watched my book haul, my last video I posted, I got that book then. And then I have Life's Too Short, which I've had for a long time. I found it in a neighborhood library, so I've been holding on to that for a long time, and it's a little bit beat up. It kind of looks like someone dropped it in the water or something, but now I own all of Abby Jimenez's books she has published. Then I have Lynn Painter's book. I have Mr. Wrong Number and The Love Wager. They are companion novels, so they're set in the same world, but you could read them both as standalones. These are Lynn Painter's adult novels, If You Know Better Than the Movies or The Do-Over, also by Lynn Painter. I think those are the only books I've read by her, are those 4. I do want to get physical copies of The Do-Over because it's a really cute pink cover, and then Better Than the Movies because I kind of want to reread it. I only gave that book a 4 stars because I was going in with too high of expectations for that. Moving on, I have Sarah Adams, When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. This is companion novels. You don't have to read one to read the other or whatever. Practice Makes Perfect just came out a few weeks ago. Both of them are really good. I think I did like Practice Makes Perfect more. And then In This World, we are getting 2 more books by her. I've also read The Cheat Sheet by her, which is one of my favorite books. Again, my friend has my physical copy of that. And then also The Temporary Roomie and The Off Limits Rule, that little duology, so good too. All Sarah Adams books are clean, closed door romances, so highly recommend checking her out. They're quick, easy reads, like so enjoyable, very good stories. Then I have Carly Fortune's 2 books. I have Every Summer After and Meet Me at the Lake. Then I have Alina Armas's books. I have The Spanish Love Deception, which I gave a 5 stars to. I want to do a video rereading my original 5-star reads to see if I still like them. I think Destiny Sidwell was the originator of that book video idea. Other people I think have done it, but Destiny's the first person that I've seen post that. Spanish Love Deception, American Roommate Experiment. These are set in the same world again. In the Spanish Love Deception, you have Aaron Blackford and Catalina. It's a fake dating trope, workplace enemies to lovers romance. And then in the American Roommate Experiment, you have Catalina's cousin Lucas, who's coming to stay with her, and Rosie, whose apartment flooded and went to Catalina's apartment to stay there. So it's like a forced proximity, one bed trope situation there. Then I have Alexis Daria, A Lot Like Adios, and You Had Me at Ola. Again, companion novels, same world. This is the Primus of Power series, and the third and final book in this trilogy is coming out in a few months, I believe. You Had Me at Ola is about telenovela stars, and then A Lot Like Adios is childhood friends. Then I have Taylor Jenkins Reid books. I have Maybe in Another Life. If you never know like what book to read, just pick up a Taylor Jenkins Reid book, because all of her books that I've read so far have all been very enjoyable. Maybe in Another Life, it is about a girl who is like, okay, if I leave the bar with the guy, like how would my life turn out? If I leave the bar with my best friend, how would my life turn out? And kind of like the butterfly effect and like how that works. It was so interesting. Really loved that. Daisy Jones and the Six, I've read the book and listened to the audiobook. The audiobook is so good. If you have not read this book yet, you need to run and read it as fast as possible. It is so good. The show did come out this year. I have only watched like the first 3 episodes. I have heard it's really good. The album is amazing, and it's so fun to actually listen to the songs that they're talking about in the book. So then I have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and if you want a book that is going to like break your heart in two, so good. First line of the book is incredible. I'm finishing up dinner with my family and my fiance when my husband calls. So good. I'm like, if that doesn't convince you to read this book, I don't know what will. Then under this little dish in the beads, I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I put that there because I was kind of running out of room. And then underneath The Seven Husbands, I have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy by Holly Jackson. First book, so good. 5 stars. I think I gave the second book like maybe a 4.5. The third book I gave a 3 stars. I do want to get Killjoy, which is the prequel novella for this trilogy. And then finishing off the books on the shelf, I have Bright Side by Kim Holden, which is one of my all-time favorite books. I was sobbing so hard while I read it. I had snot dripping out of my nose. I just have it sitting by itself there in the corner because it is a tall book and doesn't really match the rest. I just have a couple little like dried floral things and a candle here, and I'll take you down to the next shelf. So on the third shelf, I have books that don't have a match, essentially. Like I only have one book by that author. That's why these are here. That was my reasoning for it. I'm gonna move this plant so you could see the books behind it. Starting on the left, I put these books here behind the plant because they're just not my favorite. I probably won't reread them anytime soon or anything like that. So I just have them hidden. So I have The Fixer Upper. Next I have Kisses and Croissants, which was a super cute book. It's a young adult romance book about a ballerina who goes to Paris for this summer program, and she meets a boy and he takes her around the city. If you are looking for a young adult romance, I think this one would be really good for summer. Next I have Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. Then I have Talia Hibbert's Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. It's a young adult romance by her. Last Chance Books was a young adult romance. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This book was crazy over Book Talk, 2 years ago? I'm pretty sure it's a young adult book. I thought like the plot twist was very interesting and it made me appreciate the book more. I do think I want to read the prequel, which is about the kids' parents in this book, because that seems very interesting to me. I haven't heard many people talk about it, but I'm pretty sure I did hear a few people say it was better than this book when it had originally got released. It's called Family of Liars. Then I have The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I really liked this. It's a fun, lighthearted, witchy rom-com. Kind of get you in the Halloween spirit. There's also a sequel about the girl in this book's cousin called The Kiss Curse. I read that one as well. I think I liked it just a little bit more than this one. I usually like the sequels better than the first book in a series or whatever, just because you're already introduced to the characters and know the setting. I organized it so all the books from where my hand is this way, I have read these books. All the ones on the other half of the shelf I have not read yet. I have Weather Girl by Rachel and Solomon, The Roughest Draft, which I really enjoyed, and I think they was it a young adult book that they just came out with? Never Vacation with Your Ex. Sounds so interesting, and that cover's so cute. I really want to read that one. Then I have The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa, and this is actually the sequel to The Worst Best Man, and sequels, man. I liked this one better. It was really good. This has to do with fake dating, which is one of my favorite tropes. Then I have The Summer of Broken Rules, which is a YA romance. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's inspired by a Taylor Swift song, if I remember correctly. Then I have Allie Hazelwood's Love on the Brain. Allie Hazelwood is also coming out with a new book next month. I think a lot of people are coming out with books this year. Then I have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I am so excited for Wildfire to come out later this year. Icebreaker is a college hockey romance book, which is one of my favorite type of books to read. That could be a genre of its own, college hockey romance. 7 Days in June. This book is so good. I think everyone needs to read it. I'll probably reread it some point again this year. It's about a couple who meets when they're in high school. They only know each other for 7 days. They don't see each other again for 15 years, and then they're both writers. They meet up again, and the whole time that they've had their careers as authors, they have been each other's muse for their books. So good. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the side of books I have not read. I have In 5 Years, which the cover for this book is part of the reason I bought it. They Both Die at the End, The Song of Achilles, Mary Jane, which I really want to read this year. I've heard a lot of people say it's similar vibes to like Daisy Jones and the Six and Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, because it's based in the same time era, I believe, of being like the 70s and the 80s. Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, which is so many people's favorite books, and I really want to read it, but I think it's gonna make me cry, so I'm not emotionally ready for that. And then 28 Summers by Ellen Hildebrand. I have not read a single Ellen Hildebrand book yet, but my goal this summer is to read an Ellen Hildebrand book. And then finishing off the books I have not read on this shelf is Addicted to You, which I want to start the Addicted and Calloway Sisters series and start reading those books because I want to know what the hype is about. And then I have The Most Likely Cub. I got this book mostly because of the cover, but it does sound interesting as well. It's more of like women's fiction kind of book. I believe it's telling different stories about women who are gonna go back to high school for their graduation and like how they are now based off of the superlatives that they got in high school. Something along those lines, I think. Then we have A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm about 40% of the way through this book. I started reading it on my Kindle through Libby, but I had to return that library book because I was reading it too slow. So I just bought the physical copy because it's taking me a while to get into the book, but I've had a lot of people tell me that I just have to get through the first one and then the rest of the series is so good. Finishing off the rest of this shelf, I have The Godparent Trap, The Girl He Used to Know, All the Bright Places, A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, which kind of gives me the same vibes as The Ex-Hex, but it's about a witch brews this potion that summons a demon to take her soul, and then she tells her mom that no, this is actually her boyfriend, so she has to fake date this demon who's trying to take her soul. I think it sounds super interesting and fun. And then I have Before I Do by Sophie Cousins. That book is about a girl who, it's the day before her wedding to Josh. Josh's sister shows up to the rehearsal dinner with Fred, who is our main character's the one who got away 6 years ago. And so now she's questioning, is Josh the one, or do I go with the one who got away? I think it sounds so interesting. I'm very excited to read that one. It's giving me kind of like One True Love sort of vibes by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Time to go down to the next shelf. Okay, last two shelves and then we are done. I'm gonna start behind me. So starting back here, I have Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is a book I'm borrowing from a friend, so that's why I have it one facing out, but I also want to see the cover because this way it just didn't look good. That's by itself here. Then I have my classics here. I have Fahrenheit 451, The Scarlet Letter, The Alchemist, and The Great Gatsby. Fahrenheit 451 and The Great Gatsby were some of my favorite books that I read in high school when I actually did read for class, which didn't happen very often. So then I put my thrillers down here. So I have The Secret History, which I believe is a psychological thriller. 14 Ways to Die. So this book is about Jess, whose mom was a victim of Magpie Man, who's a serial killer who has killed 14 victims. It is 10 years since Jess's mom has passed, and Jess applies for a reality internet TV show where she'll be filmed once a week for the entire day and it'll be posted online. She is trying to catch the killer, but since it is all online, things get a little dangerous. Jess is risking everything, including her own life, to stop this killer and try to make sure he does not have another victim. Then I have Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I did get this book because Sarah Crowley was talking about it. I wanted to DNF it halfway through. I was not getting into the story at all, and I finished listening to it on audiobook. This wasn't a favorite. I do think the cover is very interesting. Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I've heard this one's very, very good and I need to read that. I think Haley Pham read this recently in a 24-hour readathon, and she said it kind of like made her feel like a little like icky after, so I don't know. Then I have Riley Sager, Home Before Dark. I've only read one book by Riley Sager. I read The House Across the Lake, which was a very good book. Then I have The Murder Game by Carrie Doyle. I read this book. Okay, now I remember. So this book is about a group of high school students who go to a boarding school, prep school, and they sneak out and go into the forest one night that is bordering their school, and they find one of their teacher's wives dead in the forest. Instead of admitting where they were to the police, they are trying to solve the murder themselves. Fun YA thriller. I think I might have given this a 3-star. It was good, but I think because I was reading so many other thrillers like back to back during this time, they were all just blending together. Last for thrillers, I have The Girl on the Train, which I've owned this book for a few years now before I really got into reading, and I think I read half of it and then never finished it. Then I just have some markers here. Then I have some Mr. Pen highlighters. Mustache on them is so cute. I have a bookmark. One of my friends got me for Christmas. I believe she got it off Etsy. Back here I just have some envelopes with my name on them, and I liked this one, how it has the Will pen. And then here I have my book stamp and ink, question of the day, book club journal, Shakespeare and Company in Paris. And I really wanted to buy a book from there, but a lot of the books that I saw I already owned or have read, and I didn't really want to get the physical copy there. I just didn't feel necessary. I saw this book and picked it up, and I bought it because it is so pretty. It is a double novel, so are 2 different books in here. If you can see the pages, what is that called when they're worn? I think this book is so beautiful. If you open it from this side and read the hours, it's normal. But then if we flip it over and start on this side, Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, it is correct this way. So it flips about, you see that's upside down now. Beautiful book, I had to get it. And this is my little souvenir from Paris. And then I have 5-minute journal, which I've filled out some, but never really finished. Rounding out my bookshelf, I have all my hardcovers down here. So I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I've read some of, and then I just stopped. I'll probably get the audiobook for that and then read and listen to it at the same time. And then I have Gone Girl. I have not read this, have never read it. I have The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. I have Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I used to work at a restaurant, and a customer actually loaned this book for me to read, and before I ever got the chance to read it or give it back to him, he passed away, so this book has a special place in my heart and reminds me of him. Yeah, so sweet. Then I have Little Fires Everywhere, 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty, The Golden Couple. I've tried listening to the audiobook for this a couple times, and I just can never get past like 5%, so that's a pause for now. Part of Your World, like I mentioned before, such a good book. Abby Jimenez is one of my new favorite authors. I will buy anything she writes. The Last Thing He Told Me, this just became was it a movie or a TV show? I really need to read this book. It sounds so interesting. It doesn't even seem like it's that long of a book. So definitely need to read that. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I have never read any of his books. Then I have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. A very good book. I'm excited for the movie to come out. I don't know if they started filming that, but it's about the first son of the United States and a Prince of England who have to go on like friendship dates to benefit the country, but then they end up falling in love. Cute little romance with spice. Then I have Dating Dr. Dill, which was a very enjoyable read. So that's everything on my bookshelf. Hopefully I didn't talk too much and bore you to death, but I am so happy with how my bookshelf turned out. I think it's so cute, and I have like this little cozy reading corner with my hanging chair. Let me know what videos you want from me next, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!